think that a clear and universally understood set of social media guidelines is really, really important. There's an old saying in schools that wherever adults are is where students don't necessarily want to be. I think that's been true with teenagers since the beginning of time itself. I think it is increasingly true with social media. They want their own space. It's the equivalent of them being able to close their bedroom doors and engage in whatever happens behind those bedroom doors, video game, phone calls, whatever that happens to look like. That's true of social media guidelines as well. But there is bleed over that we have to be cognizant of, right? That, comments, messaging that occurs after hours, outside of school hours, can bleed over into the school day. And there's a direct impact.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hi, my name is Arostigue-Manson, Director of Secondary for Linwood Unified School District. We're an urban district located in LA County. We're composed of 18 schools and we have about 12,000 students.
Hello, my name's Cain. I'm the superintendent of the Rockwood School District. We are just a suburban district just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. We have right around 20,000 students and right around 33 sites.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ramon Roberts. I'm superintendent of Saginaw Public Schools. We have approximately 5,000 students over 17 schools.
So how have you been successful in increasing parent engagement to help keep students safe on social media?
I think this is much more of a journey than a true destination. It's an ongoing effort that we're going to have to engage in. There's absolutely no doubt about that. As a threat horizon, and I use that terminology purposefully because I think that tactically speaking, that's how we have to look at this. As a threat, the threat horizon continues to evolve. Our responses must, in turn, change and adapt as well. In the past, we've engaged in something called Parent University, and we've paused that to some degree with the pandemic. It's something that we need to work back toward implementing in our district and bringing back to life in our district, but really being proactive and getting that word out for our parents. You are going to, I'm sure leaders are seeing, students as early as grades 1, sometimes 2, actually bring pieces of technology from home, right? That actually have access to their own smartphone. We have to think about things differently as a result of that. And we have parents that are saying, it's not right. I'm not ready for my child to do so. And we respect that as well. Parents just need to understand the power of once these portals are opened, what that means, good, bad, and in between. And it's really about informing. I don't believe in arming people with fear. I want to prepare people with information, factual information, and things that they can look for as they're working through whatever their particular child is working through.
So we've worked very closely with our parents, and our parents have done such a great job here in Linwood Unified with a lot of training on social media aspects through partnerships such as Safer Schools that specialize in parent workshops. We also have a health collaborative that has about 60 partnerships with that, and they help do parent workshops as well. It's been a 5-year partnership with Safer Schools, and we're now going into phase 3. And so the first phase was just like bringing social awareness to the social media apps so we can monitor. The second portion was how to report anonymous reporting tools such as, so it's PSST, and then the parent portal. And so the parent portal is really going to be a platform that parents can use to teach parents how to monitor their students' social media accounts, what to look for as warning signs, how to report it, and then getting in front of those issues that may arise with students.
That is where our family and community engagement specialist comes in. She also provides training in that area. So the technology training is comprehensive in scope. That covers not only how to use the device, but also how to navigate social media, internet, websites safely, but also effectively so that it supports instruction, academic growth, and social growth for students.
Are there any stories that might come to mind about any social media incidents you've been able to get in front of or avoid by being proactive?
The speed with which information moves via social media, we were always, tactically speaking, going to be a step behind. When we respond, it has to be something that is researched and that we feel really, really positive about in terms of pressing forward in terms of communicating. That's different than rumor, myth, and innuendo that can quickly multiply and be amplified all over social media and other means as well. I would say that there have been a number of situations where there's been the threat or assumed threat of some type of violence that potentially could be happening within a school setting. I will tell you, the faster we were able to lock down factual pieces of information, and again, I'm going to go back to law enforcement. This often involves law enforcement. If that means knocking on doors, quite honestly, at 12:30 at night to engage in safety and wellness checks, that's what has to happen. But our communities are increasingly looking for accurate and timely is very challenging with this, very timely updates of what is factually happening versus the myth, rumor, and innuendo that floats around out there.
Yes. So we have gotten, this is almost a weekly, if not daily basis that we get in front of social media issues all the time. This happens all the time, such as fights, threats, being able to help students prior to them hurting themselves or others. So we have anonymous reporting. So anytime there's suspicious activity that comes up, the district works together with campus safety. They have a great partnership with our law enforcement. And so we're able to immediately deploy extra bodies, extra eyes, extra patrolling around that campus for those days that are heightened. So just to bring safety to everybody on campus, as well as the reporting system, early warning signs for students that may possibly be in need of mental health. And so the health collaborative then jumps in. They bring in our health collaborative partners, and they're able to reach out to the families in regards to getting them the help that they need. So that has been something that's done if not weekly, daily here in Linwood.
We had an incident in one of our high schools where one of our students was communicating some inaccurate information via social media about an incident that had taken place in our schools. Obviously, the media got a hold of it. Mainstream media got a hold of it. And we were able to, first of all, talk with the media. Once the media contacted us, we were able to do a full investigation in terms of what took place and then give the media an accurate version of the narrative so that it was accurate out to our community. So that was just one example of what, of kind of getting out in front of a social media incident.
What would your advice be to other educators and other administrators to work together to create a culture of digital safety and responsibility in their schools?
I think that a clear and universally understood set of social media guidelines is really, really important. There's an old saying in schools that wherever adults are is where students don't necessarily want to be. I think that's been true with teenagers since the beginning of time itself. I think it is increasingly true with social media. They want their own space. It's the equivalent of them being able to close their bedroom doors and engage in whatever happens behind those bedroom doors, video game, phone calls, whatever that happens to look like. That's true of social media guidelines as well. But there is bleed over that we have to be cognizant of, right? That, comments, messaging that occurs after hours, outside of school hours, can bleed over into the school day. And there's a direct impact. If there is a direct impact, there have to be some degree of consequences that come with that. One of the more important pieces that we can lean on here is adults engaging in appropriate behavior, setting an example of how to, quite honestly, disagree, but not necessarily become disagreeable that feels as though it's evaporating right now. It's really important as adults that we help set that example of what appropriate behavior happens to look like. Not necessarily just to calm waters, that's one piece, but difference of opinion, perspective, and thought is not only okay, it's healthy. It's how we do so in a respectful and responsible manner that makes all the difference.
Here in Linwood Unified, we have student safety committees at all of our school sites, but we've taken it a step further and we created a district level safety task force. And the objective of the district task force is to, one, make sure that we are well diverse in regards to who's on the task force. So we have different stakeholders such as board members, administrators, city officials, our IT department, our security department, classified certificated employees. Our unions are on there. Our parents are on there. And their main goal is to plan and prepare for the district. So they're able to ID possible issues or current issues we have, address them, and come up with solutions prior to them happening.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. This is wishful thinking. What I would like to see happen is for our superintendent networks, central office administrative networks, principal, assistant principal networks and associations to begin working more closely on developing platforms and networks where we can help each other in this regard. I think technology has moved so fast and it has impacted our profession in such a profound way that we should do a better job of working together and sharing ideas on how to combat it or use it effectively. So I'm hoping that's a direction our profession goes in the near future.
What are your 1 to 2 biggest social media concerns for the future?
Discerning valid sources of information. Really, students having the ability to sort through so much information to really be able to distill and shake out what's really valid sources, what are valid sources of information is going to be really, really important. I think this notion of deep fake is only going to, I see that absolutely exploding in terms of potential. Very negative, but I see it exploding. How does a student engage in a process so that they can actually distill? This is a quality source. I'm not sure what this one is. I think that's only important for school. I think it's going to be critical for life moving forward.
Definitely ChatGPT is one of them. So we're trying to use that in a positive way. So we're showing our teachers how can we use ChatGPT in a positive way to help advantage our students with the information they have at hand. Also, another issue is getting in front of false postings or slanders with the district. So if an issue arises, kids immediately get on social media accounts with their parents or with the community. And so we don't get to tell our story of what really happened with the facts. So those are two big issues right now with that.
One always remains access to social media during instruction time for our students. That's a huge one for us. And then two, being able to control the narrative on social media. One of the challenges that we've just faced is once information is placed on social media, it's really difficult to control the narrative, particularly when that information is inaccurate. For me, those are the two biggest going forward with social media. And then three, if I can throw in a third one, is how to use it as an effective instructional tool. We just haven't mastered that yet in terms of a school district using social media as an effective instructional tool.
So, funding is difficult nationwide. What advice would you give to other districts to secure funding to create resources that parents need?
I think that partnering can ultimately mean some degree of cost sharing. We need to go back to our mission, which is always going to be, my hope is always going to be, right? What's in the best interest of students, all students within a respective school district, and making sure they are protected. They have an environment where they're protected, yet challenged and nurtured, not only academically, right? Not only socially, but in this case, technologically is really, really important. Their future is dependent upon us being able to do just that. And so the cost sharing component, I think, is important. I think that prioritization of resources, and specifically if things begin to have to shake out and everything can't be funded, there have to be some ideals and programs and responses that we hold on and hold tight to, and that we do. And as a result of doing that, there are pieces that we're going to have to ultimately step away from. Lastly, I would say that there is an opportunity for us to actually become creative and actually create some of our own resources that we know our students are in need of. It doesn't mean that we always have to go outside. Maybe there's some pieces that we can create on our own and then ultimately implement as a school district.
Be creative. I know Title I funding in California has a resource section for parents. So definitely use that to fund some of your workshops and resources for that. We here in Linwood, we actually wrote it into our LCAP under parent engagement. So we can use our LCAP funding for parent workshops or parent resources, as well as supplemental funds or grants are always available. Make sure you apply for grants. There's a lot of grants to help support with that. And then it doesn't have to cost the district money. You can also use community partners. So community partners are an excellent resource that are tapped into it as much as possible. Use community partners to bring awareness, do workshops. One of the things that one of our schools is doing this year is they're going to write up using ChatGPT a donor's choice proposal this year. And so that's something that donor's choice you could use for like the books or the resources or anything that parents want to kind of support that. So being creative in regards to looking outside of our funding, what can we pay for?
This is going to sound simple, but it's not. We have to be better at advocating for ourselves politically. The political world and the K-12 educational worlds, that they're different and they require different tactics to be successful. Ironically, the K-12 educational world is governed by politicians at every level. So based on that, we have to be better at advocating for ourselves politically. That's at a local level, that's at a state level, and certainly at a federal level. And again, I think that work comes through our associations at every level, but we have to be more impactful in finding ways to advocate for ourselves so that legislation is passed that supports K-12 education.
Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ochs. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the link below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.